Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ThePackHub's latest packaging webinar, Sustainable Packaging Innovations. Delighted that you could join us today. So, my name is Paul Jenkins, founder and CEO of ThePackHub. I'm delighted to be joined today by Raphael Yamamoto, Head of Innovation and R&D at Ahlstrom, and also Riccardo Corradini, Head of Product Marketing and Business Development, also from Ahlstrom. So what will we be talking about today? So similar format to previous webinars, bit of an introduction, short introduction, and then we're going to split the sustainable packaging innovations from the Innovation Zone and Patent Zone platforms into two. We've got into two, and then the middle section will be the Ahlstrom presentation, balancing barrier strength and compliance, paper-based packaging for pet food under PPWR and EPR. Opportunity for questions and answers towards the end of the session. Please make sure you use the Q&A box. It should be at the bottom of your screen, and please fire away with any questions that you might have for our guest panelists today. So before we talk about some sustainable packaging innovations, let's just spend a minute or two introducing you to those that don't know about the ThePackHub. So we're a packaging innovation consultancy. And at the very heart of the business is a platform called the Innovation Zone. We collate packaging innovations from around the world, upload 33 new initiatives every week. That is increasing by 5 or 6% from next week. So we continue to find more innovations to add to the platform. These are across food, beverage, health and beauty, consumer goods, industrial, pet care, etc. And as I said, got over 11,500, I think it's 11,600 now, innovations from the last 10 years. An excellent way to keep up to speed with what's going on in the market, see what your competitors are doing, and to inspire you and come up with that next good idea. We've also got a patent zone, which is we will be hitting 2,000 global packaging patents applications in the next couple of days. These are we don't track every patent that is published. We identify the most interesting ones, the most innovative ones, and the ones we think you will find the most inspiring. So, and that's about 100 patents a month. We're also excited to announce a new service called Innovation Plus, and it basically takes the best bits of the Innovation Zone and the Patent Zone, plus a load of new features, and that's coming your way next month. So more information on that in due course. We also do innovation service projects. Katie manages a small team working on various different packaging projects. We do packaging training under our Packaging Academy training umbrella. In fact, there's a training session going on as we speak. And that is my wonderful team. So that's the ThePackHub team in their full beauty. So without further ado, let's look at some sustainable packaging innovations. And as always, we categorize these or group these into sort of the main trend areas. And as you can see, no real surprises here. This will be very familiar to you, hopefully. The trend areas are as follows: refill and reuse, paperization, bio-based materials, reduction strategies, and recycling and recycled content. And I left recycling and recycled content till last. Actually, it's the biggest sustainable packaging trend at the moment, and has been for a few years. Okay, so first one to look at is refill and reuse systems. So the first one is a retail pilot test for reusable mushroom packaging. So this is FOS Plus, a packaging business based in Belgium, and they're supporting multi-retailer pilot project to use reusable packaging for fresh mushrooms, involving a number of retailers, including Albert Heijn, Aldi, Carrefour, and Lidl, amongst others. The initiative, known as REPASYS, so REPASYS, has been developed in response to the forthcoming PPWR regulations, which will introduce a ban on single-use plastic packaging for fresh fruit and vegetables by 2030. Within the pilot, mushrooms are packed in durable, reusable trays that are distributed to consumers through participating retail outlets. Shoppers pay a deposit of 30 euro cents, which is about 26 UK Great British pounds, and when purchasing the product, and receive a full refund upon returning the empty container to any of the participating stores. The trays undergo industrial cleaning processes, as you would expect, between uses before being recirculated into the supply chain. Each unit is equipped with a QR code based on GS1 standards, enabling individual tracking throughout its life cycle. This digital tracking system is designed to capture data on return rates, user behavior, and logistical performance. So that's a really interesting reuse trial specifically for mushroom packaging. Mushroom packaging, one of those products that has multitude of different sort of formats, materials, but it's also been tried with reusable packaging, as you can see here. The next one is from Seidel, headquartered in France, and they've introduced a returnable PET bottle specifically designed for the still water market, addressing the growing demand for reusable packaging formats within the beverage sector. The returnable PET still water bottle is engineered without the structural requirements associated with carbonated liquids, allowing for design optimization tailored to uncarbonated water, as we have here. The bottle is available in multiple formats, 0.5 litres up to 2 litres. It also incorporates customizable design features such as textured surfaces, enabling differentiation in both tactile and visual aspects. From a technical perspective, the bottle is designed to endure up to 25 washing and reuse cycles, supporting returnable systems commonly used in closed-loop distribution models. The structure is reported to be approximately 10% lighter than comparable 1 litre returnable bottles developed for carbonated beverages. So it's also ticking a box in terms of material reduction and lightweighting. There's no information about the type of infrastructure and systems that would need to be in place to make this bottle a reality. This is more about the concept and the design. And at the end of the life, the bottle is compatible with existing PET recycling stream. And I guess one of the big challenges for something like this, where it's very familiar to recycle PET water bottles, is to communicate very clearly that these are reusable water bottles and they shouldn't be recycled in the first instance. Next, we have a reusable cosmetic pack with an added benefit of a added functionality of one-handed sliding closure. This is Yongwoo, a packaging company based out of South Korea, and they've introduced Acto, a refillable cosmetic packaging solution featuring a one-handed thumb swipe opening mechanism designed to improve usability and reduce material waste. What I really like about this is there's a great opportunity for refill and reuse to do some really nice design work, and this is very differentiated from the single-use packaging that it would replace. The system incorporates an integrated open and lock closure, allowing the user to slide the cap open and closed using a single thumb movement, eliminating the need for separate lids or two-handed operations. So perfect for on the go. Unlike conventional screw caps or flip-flop closures, the cap is built directly into the container, reducing the risk of component loss and simplifying the overall structure. So it's kind of like a modern day tethered cap, if you like. When closed, the mechanism is designed to fully seal the dispensing outlet, supporting product protection by limiting exposure to air and external contaminants. I don't know about you, but I think that looks like a really nice pack. Very ergonomic as well. And last in the refill section, we take an innovation from our patent zone, and this is Nestle, and they've designed a reusable container for frozen food that improves insulation by allowing airflow between its parts. The system includes a main container, a lid, and an outer jacket. The main container has a tapered shape and fits inside the jacket, and there's a small gap between them. These parts are held together by a fastening piece, which connects them without sealing the air inside. So this innovative design shows how Nestlé is leading the way here with rethinking how frozen food can be insulated in a reusable format without the use of added materials, coatings, or energy to improve thermal performance. So in terms of refill and reuse, we're seeing a shift from niche pilots to a serious part of the packaging strategy. Growth is being driven because of all the pressure around single-use packaging, and also to support environmental goals. And obviously some of the key formats: refill at home, in-store refill, returnable packs. We're seeing lots of deposit schemes, reusable takeaway systems, etc. The main challenge, that should be the challenges, are in terms of making reuse convenient, cost-effective, hygienic, and easy enough for consumers to adopt. That's all about communication as well. You've got all sorts of issues with deposits, cleaning. So it's a real challenging area, but with things like PPWR encouraging the use of refill and reuse, we do believe the trend of lots of developments will continue. Next up is paperization, another trend familiar to everybody on the call. So the first one is from Sappi, and they've developed a range of fiber-based tea envelope packaging designed to replace conventional multi-material laminates with monomaterial paper alternatives. The innovation centres on flexible packaging papers designed to protect tea quality whilst improving recyclability within existing paper waste streams. So an important aspect of paperization is that it doesn't compromise, in fact improves the recyclability end of life of products. The portfolio includes crimped envelope formats, heat-sealed sachets, and translucent paper variants. High production speeds of up to 400 packs per minute can be achieved, eliminating the need for adhesives or plastic layers. Here we have ATS Tanner banding systems based out of Zug in Switzerland, and they've developed True Paper, a paper-based banding material designed as an alternative to conventional plastic banding solutions. True Paper is composed of either virgin fibers or a mix containing more than 50% recycled paper content. So in the latter, it really it's not going to be recyclable, but it's just reducing the amount of plastic, I guess, in the supply chain. But it is designed to be fully recyclable within standard paper recycling streams. I guess that's where it's predominantly virgin fiber or fiber. The material incorporates a water-based bonding agent, enabling it to be sealed using both ultrasonic and heat seal technologies. The banding material is engineered to provide tensile shear strength comparable to paper bands coated with PP, maintaining functional performance whilst reducing reliance on plastic coatings. Next up, we have RUF Lebensmittelwerk, based in Germany, and they've transitioned to porridge pouch packaging in paper-based solution using Kohler's familiar Net Plus Seal Pure solution. The innovation centres on recyclable barrier paper designed specifically for dry food applications, combining heat sealability with an integrated oil barrier to ensure product protection and compatibility with existing filling processes. So we're seeing lots of pouches moving to this paper format, and quite often there's a very clear consumer message about the fact that it's moved to paper and what people should do with it. Last up in this section, before we speak to Ahlstrom, is from our innovation, from our patent zone, and this is TemperPack Tech from the United States, and they've developed an insulated pack system where the key feature is a foldable layered substrate that could be converted into an insulated bag. It's paper-based. The material is made from multiple layers, including outer paper barrier layers and a core layer in between that provides thermal insulation. The substrate is designed with crease lines that divide it into sections and smaller portions, allowing it to be folded into three-dimensional shape without additional components. This design focuses on reducing environmental impact whilst maintaining the functionality required for shipping goods and other temperature-sensitive shipping food and other temperature-sensitive goods. So to summarize paperization, paperization is being driven by pressure to reduce plastic. That is often a consumer pressure, and well, it certainly was initially, and improve consumer perceptions of sustainability. We're seeing innovation in things like fiber bottles, molded fiber, paper wraps, trays, pouches, blisters, and barrier-coated formats. Main technical challenges around maintaining product protection, shelf life, moisture resistance, and recycling compatibility. Just because something is paper-based doesn't necessarily mean it can be recycled in conventional paper streams. The best paperization examples are not just plastic swaps. They deliver environmental and commercial benefits. Okay, so I'm delighted to introduce Raphael Yamamoto and Riccardo Corradini from Ahlstrom. Their presentation is called Balancing Barrier Strength and Compliance, Paper-Based Packaging for Pet Food under PPWR and EPR. So absolutely bang on the money in terms of timings, with PPWR 3 months away. Dry pet food packaging requires managing complex trade-offs between barrier performance, mechanical strength, and recyclability. And at the same time, regulatory pressure and cost constraints add further layers of complexity. This session provides a technical perspective on how to design paper-based structures that meet these competing requirements. So Riccardo, over to you.
Thank you, Paul. So let me share my screen first. I think you see my screen now. So thanks again. Hello and welcome everyone. I am Riccardo Corradini. I'm the head of product marketing and business development for Ahlstrom Food Business Unit. So as Paul has anticipated, today we're going to show you what Ahlstrom is doing to support the transition to more sustainable packaging solutions in this growing and challenging pet food category. So, agenda first. I'm going to quickly introduce Ahlstrom and the pet food market. And then we will go through the packaging requirements of the dry pet food category. Once we've done that, I will leave the stage to Raphael, who will illustrate us the PawPrint paper solution portfolio. Okay, so let's start with some quick Ahlstrom introduction. So the purpose of Ahlstrom is to purify and protect. So Ahlstrom is a world leader in sustainable fiber-based materials. And we contribute to a shift towards a sustainable, low carbon and circular economy. So that's our mission. And with this mission in mind, it's worth taking a minute focusing on what is innovation for us. Innovation, it's not just about developing new products. It's about working very close with the market players, with customers. It's about understanding the complexity and also the sustainability pressure in the market, and to create a safer, more sustainable solutions. So we leverage on very strong R&D capabilities and research facilities. And we ultimately want to turn the sustainability challenges into growth opportunities, always having in mind the concept of scalability. That's really a key factor for us. So we are committed to sustainability, and being committed to sustainability, that means essentially that sustainability for us is not a standalone initiative anymore. So it's becoming instead a way growth, innovation, and also the operational decisions are shaped across the value chain. And this together with partners, together with customers, with end users. So yes, it's not a standalone initiative, and it's not even limited within the borders of our company. So it's rather a joint effort that we're supporting and we're leading. For you to know, Ahlstrom has earned the Platinum Medal in October 2025, assessed by EcoVadis. That's a recognition that it's awarding the top 1% of the companies assessed by this very big organization. Now, if we look at the food applications and the food, looking at all the categories where Ahlstrom Food Business Unit operates, we see here probably the broadest range of categories in the market. So over time, we have built competence and we have generated business opportunities in multiple applications, from baking and fast food solutions to flexible packaging, including pet food, of course, and food processing, as well as specialty applications such as transparent paper, for instance. So now let's focus on the pet food market. Pet food has been one of the fastest growing markets in the last decade. Europe and North America has been leading this trend, and now we see the emerging markets and Asia in particular that is becoming every day more interesting. From a packaging format perspective, the reference today is flexible packaging. This was led by dry pet food, and now it's highly present also in the other food types, like pet food treats and wet pet food too. Size-wise, the emerging standard is small formats. A vast majority of these packaging solutions is still in plastic formats, talking about materials. And this is becoming an increasing challenge because of regulatory, because of sustainability, and also because of health concerns sometimes. And if we look at consumers, they are looking at ways to reduce plastic utilization. They're focusing every day more on the end of life for the packaging that they utilize the most. So as said, the consumer behavior about sustainability is evolving. There's a very strong momentum in Europe, but also in North America now. And in parallel to that, if you look at trends, the fast growth of e-commerce is also redefining what are the packaging requirements. So to name some, the packaging redesign needs for e-shopping, or the shipping optimization that is including the shipping waste reduction. All these are emerging requirements. So to evolve the pet food packaging according to all this, we see the need of creating a system of solution, which is based on fiber-based material, high-performing, and having in mind the safe and sustainable by design innovation concept. That's really the core. Well, we say that the pet food packaging is a challenging one, right? So let's have a look at requirements, because requirements are indeed multiple. So to name some, the shelf life, functionality, end of life, the consumer appeal, the cost, mechanical robustness, the machinability, and more. So all this must be balanced. So quite a wide range of requirements. And indeed, the packaging category was built on performance. So this has seen the growth over time of complex plastic-based multi-material packaging solutions. So looking at all this complexity, clearly there is no single solution that can cover the very different needs. Also looking at legislation compliance or product formulations or even the brand positioning. So all this is also impacting a lot and making it really complex. So let's focus on regulation for a moment. So the packaging requirements will be heavily influenced by the upcoming legislation. So starting from the PPWR, we know that the PPWR is not 100% finalized in a way from an implementation path. There are still discussions. So if we take a picture today, we see that already in 2026, regulation will apply. So there will be some general requirement that will become binding. Declaration of conformity, for instance, will be required, but also some restriction will apply, such as PFAS. Then going through an harmonization phase, 2028, 2029, then we will reach 2030, where there will be a proper design transformation. So the packaging, all packaging must be then recyclable. There will be the introduction of requirements for the design for recycling, recycling content target, and also additional restriction on packaging formats. Then going to 2035, there will be the system performing. So the packaging by that time must be recyclable and recycled at scale. So there will be established collection, recycling systems to enable that. So what is ultimately changing is that the packaging is seen and is regulated as a standalone product now. And all the requirements for the packaging will, of course, apply to all the products that will be placed in Europe. So all materials, all sectors, all channels. Now, on top of that, there's the EPR, which is entering the game. So EPR for packaging, it requires the producers to finance the collection, sorting, and recycling for the packaging that they place on the EU market. So the waste management cost is shifting from consumers to producers in a way. The EPR schemes are existing at the national level. And by the way, these schemes will also be harmonized by PPWR, so there's a link between the two. And what it will make the EPR fees, it will be material weight, will be the recyclability and the recycling rates as well. So to name one, the paper and board, which is highly recyclable and is highly recycled as well, such as monomaterials or low packaging weight. So all these elements can drive the EPR fees down. This is not only about Europe, so the things are moving fast in the US as well. So as of now, there's already 7 US states with similar EPR legislation, but it's distinct in terms of timelines, in terms of fees and obligation. But it's really moving fast in the US as well. So having seen all this, if we make now a simulation, if we look at EPR fees, let's say a 4-kilo pet food bag, 1 million units sold a year in 7 different markets in Europe. So if we compare a plastic multi-layer bag with a fiber-based solution, when I say fiber-based, I mean a 90+ paper content, still having a thin OPP film on the inside. So replacing the first one with the second one, we see a potential saving that can reach up to almost 90% of the EPR fees, depending on the country. With a recyclable solution that goes in the paper bin, PPWR ready, that is available today by Ahlstrom. So just to visualize that, removing 1 million pet food plastic bags equals roughly to remove 1.5 to 2 million plastic water bottles, 1.5 liter each. So if you line up all these bottles, you can cover a distance which is bigger than Paris to London, just to have a visual reference to that. So clearly, the packaging solution, it must respect all the requirements that we have seen before. So we spoke about the complexity of it. So let me ask Rafael now, which is our head of innovation for food application, to take us through the new PoPrint portfolio. So Rafael, the stage is yours now.
Thanks a lot, Ricardo. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be talking with all of you. It was great to see also some movements from the industry related to the papiterization that Paul just presented to us. Just a bit of introduction. I am, as Ricardo commented, head of innovation and R&D in our food packaging business unit inside Ahlstrom. I have been in the company for 10 years now, but in the packaging industry for more than 20 years at this stage. Here, the idea, as Ricardo commented, is to talk a little bit about the efforts that the company have been doing in the past years, I would say at least the past 5 to 7 years, related to grease resistance paper that can come across to pet food world, but also to talk a little bit about the efforts that we foresee in the future, really to engage ourselves together with the industry and the value chain in this journey for us to look for alternatives that can really cope with some more paper bags inside this market segment. So, Ricky, if you can jump to the next slide, please. I'm going to talk a little bit about our pulpring line of products that's really related to paper dedicated to pet food market. But it's important to say and to talk a little bit about the history of the company inside this market segment. So Ahlstrom, it's perceived and recognized in the market, both Europe and in North America, as a big player for paper, for pet food bags. And this, it's something that also builds us enough confidence and experience to present some of the requirements, as like Ricardo was commented, but not only, also about talk about the challenge that we foresee for the future correlated to this transition that we are currently facing in the market. But first of all, I would like to just say that when we design or when we develop the products in the past 5 years, we had for sure to take closely in our attention key enabling factors in that movement. And no doubt that performance, which was one of the main points that we have been really working quite close on. Ricardo commented a bit about the regulatory aspects. And one of the main regulatory aspects that we faced in the past years, it was related to the PFAS transition, mainly for products that need to deliver at the end of the day strong and very high grease resistance and edge wicking properties. And this was a work that we did quite close connected with our customers, converters, but also with the main brands that currently we have in the pet food market. Full regulatory compliance, no doubt. It is a food product at the end of the day. It's for pet, but it's for food and follows the same regulatory aspects. And it's also an environment that's changing quite drastically in the past years, and we need to keep us quite well aligned with these movements that currently are happening in the market. We cannot think about paper for packaging without think about volumes at the end of the day and how we can scale up this type of development. So this is totally related to the multitude of packaging types that currently we foresee. And Ricardo commented a little bit about those variables that might come across a development like that for pet food bags overall. And for sure, this is something that we should be considering in light of specifications, requirements, but also everything that's totally related to the end of life that we can provide by assuring ourselves that we are an element in this value chain, because most of the case, the bags will be formed not only with one single layer of paper, but the paper will be part of the components that we're going to have in this environment. And we do need to deliver recyclability according to SEP and other protocol standards that we have currently in the market. So at the end of the day, we do strongly believe that it's a system of solutions and not only on a single product that we are delivering together in conjunction with partners, customers, converters. Just a bit of history in these past 5 years. The transition that we faced in the past years was totally related to providing grease resistance and edge wicking performance with different type of solutions. And at the end of the day, we need obviously to acknowledge the fact that the performance levels was not exactly the same. And by not being exactly the same, there are some adjustments that we have to project in the market, not only in our process, but also in the conversion process, in the packaging line process to make it happen. So it was something that we started in North America, more or less 4 years ago, with a big success. And that currently we are closing the loop here in Europe. And fortunately, we can say for our products that we produce for food applications overall, that we are free of intentional PFAS included in the products that we offer in the market. Optimum mechanical resistance, no doubt it's a part of these developments. We are talking about bags. We are talking about bags that might weight up to 25 kilos. And the idea to have strong paper structures, it's also there together and interconnected with the grease resistance performance that I just talked previously. And last but not least, obviously, we need to provide during this process very, very smooth surface for printability performance in different type of technologies. It might be flexo, it might be gravure, but for sure, at the end of the day, well recognized by the customers and the brands in the shelf. So one of the things that we did consider essential in this movement, it was the close collaboration with converters in the brands in this process, because adjustments as I placed initially, it was obviously necessarily needed to be done in order for us to succeed. But one thing that we can clearly say to all of you at this stage is that we have a very solid and robust portfolio currently to provide solutions to the market in order to accommodate pet food, but also to replace plastic films for the future. So now, when it comes to the performance, or at least the specifications and characteristics that we need to keep clear in our mind, so we have those, let's say, 6 functionalities that we do believe that it's quite well important. So we have the grease resistance as first, for sure. We are talking about a very grease pet food, dry pet food overall, up to 15-20% grease contain. So the grease resistance, it's mandatory. And when it comes to grease resistance, I may here share the spec in 2 different characteristics. We need to have a grease barrier for sure, not to permit that the grease transpass the paper to the outside or to the external contact with the other packages, but also we need to provide a very important and strong internal bond as edge wicking to avoid to have staining on the package. Mechanical strain, it's something that we talked a bit about. It can be done depending on the structures with different plies of papers, or in some case, thin layers of plastic films, but no doubt that the paper need to perform not only in the shelf, but also in the process. Durability goes more or less hand in hand with mechanical strain, while printability, it's totally correlated to the surface smoothness and the shiny aspect that we can provide depending on the finishing that we can give after calendaring process. Converting efficiency, as like I commented previously, it's quite important, not only in the converter, but also more and more in the packaging lines, because if we aim ourselves to replace plastic films, obviously, at the end of the day, the intention is not to create a big constraints and big hurdles correlated to investments and lack of productivity. And lamination coating, obviously, we cannot forget about that, because as I commented, normally in a pet food bag, it's made by different plies of papers. And also there are some adhesives that need to be used during this process that need to be compatible with the materials and the surface that we have in our paw print grades. So the idea to have this balanced performance between the different requirements and characteristics, for sure, it's essential for us to provide the protection that is needed for the product. I will not get too much into the detail here, but I really just would like to present the portfolio of products that we have in our pulp print line. There is a good list of products in North America and a good list of products in Europe. And overall, those products are designed to be placing specific functions in the different structures of bags. Different structures of bags that might consider paper as an inner ply, as a middle ply, as an outer ply, depending on the printability aspects, but also related to the needs that might be linked to the types of bags, weights, and formats, if it's an SOS bag or if it's an pinch bottom bags. It also might give different requirements correlated to the edge wicking properties that I am presenting here. And in North America specifically, we have an grade with moisture vapor barrier that in some cases can be a good possibility for this initial, let's say, transition on plastic films correlated to structures that still relies on a thin layer of OPP film internally. And the last slide that I have here, it's more, I would say, an invitation to all of you, because at the end of the day, as like Paul, it was commenting a little bit about some of the efforts in the industry correlated to papiterization. We do believe that this transition demands a full commitment of the value chain. It's not one single company project, for sure. Obviously, that Ahlstrom knows the important role that the company plays in this transition, giving performance to the materials that we are presenting, but also having materials designed in a safe and sustainable way. And in that matters, for sure, we do understand that currently we have a very good grease resistance position with our materials, but we do also understand that there are some other developments that need to be done more related to barriers, and here I'm talking mainly about moisture, but some additional grease resistance that we can provide in order to have a full paper structure delivered to the market. We can for sure count with an extensive technical expertise that we accumulated in this past, let's say, 10, 15 years in this market, with quite good and strong connections with the main players in the value chain. But clearly, and Ricardo, I believe that he talked about a lot about EPRs, consumer acceptance and packaging process. Clearly, if we do not have a close relation and the willingness from the market and the value chain to make it happen, it is a bit, as like I said, complicated to move the needle, being only the only company in this process. So it's an invitation to all of you, first to make some questions here correlated to the presentation that we did in the webinar, but mainly to get in contact with us to talk and to discuss how we can drive this change and this transition for the future.
Thank you very much. We've got lots of questions, so I will quickly go through my final slides before we get to the Q&A session. So let me just quickly share my screen again. Yeah, we've got 3 sections which I will go through quite quickly. So the next sustainable packaging trend area is bio-based materials. So some examples here, a startup called Natulpa, based in Colombia, and they switched to a starch-based material designed to replace conventional single-use plastic packaging, particularly for applications such as fruit and vegetable exports. With current production capacity, it's currently reaching approximately 20 tons per month, so very much, sort of test areas really at the moment. They've got a pilot plant level. The packaging is designed to provide comparable functionality to traditional plastic materials, including things like durability and versatility. Moving from primary packaging to tertiary packaging. So this is TGR Pallets based in Belgium, and they developed a transport pallet constructed from a fast-growing lightweight plant material called miscanthus, and apologies for poor pronunciation, and they've combined with a bio-based binder that is described as 100% formaldehyde free. The pallet is designed as an alternative to conventional wooden and pressed wood pallets. So this is an example of bio-based, not replacing plastic, but as an alternative material. This is a business based out of Istanbul, and they're developing highly pure chitosan and bioplastic materials derived from shellfish waste. Now, we've tracked lots of shellfish packaging innovations over the years. These materials are described as inherently bioactive due to the molecular structure of chitosan, which provides natural antimicrobial properties without additional chemical additives. And the last one from this section, which is from a found patent zone, and this is from Robert T. Wheeler from the United States, and who's developed a paper bottle system for pharmaceutical use that combines fiber-based materials with a design that allows efficient stacking and disposal. So in terms of bio-based materials, lots of development. We're still not seeing scale, if you like. Where we are seeing some examples of scaling up, it's from businesses like Zampler, Kelpie, Nopla, who are using biomaterials as an alternative barrier, plastic barrier. And those, the strongest examples are scalable, and they have credible environmental benefits and clear claims and practical commercial applications. Production strategies. So this sustainable strategy has been going on since packaging has been around, really. So that's sort of reducing the impact of packaging through reducing materials. Actually spotted this at Interpack a couple of weeks ago or last week, and it's already on the innovation zone. So this is a development of an integrated flip-top packaging solution designed to simplify recycling and reduce material usage in plastic tube packaging. The tube design has enabled a 10% reduction in material use compared to conventional tube and cap formats. Here we have it's not that easy to see in the picture, but this is a cuboid pouch design, and they're claiming the pouch it delivers a material efficiency and production performance improvements, and reportedly uses between 30% and 40% less material compared to conventional stand-up pouches, and of course would look fantastic on shelf and certainly get noticed. Tweak is a design studio based in Australia, and they developed a packaging concept for the Curash nursery wipes, focusing on convenience, organization, and shelf impact. You may have seen this type of solution in supermarkets where you live. So basically really stripping out the secondary multi-pack packaging with a grab-and-go carry handle, a label which obviously collates the packs, but also acts as a very useful carry handle. And last up is Tricor Braun, an innovation zone member from the United States, and they've created a lightweight plastic closure that uses less material without sacrificing performance. The lid includes a top surface with 2 levels and a circular sidewall, and each sidewall has, inside the sidewall are short thread segments, not full threads, each with a small cavity underneath to help save plastic. So lightweighting and reduction are driven by the need to use fewer resources, cut carbon impact, and reduce packaging costs, and also PPWR and EPR are a major influence. The strongest examples deliver measurable material savings whilst still protecting performance, recyclability, logistics, commercial viability. As I've always said, pack weight is a proxy for quality. So it's a real challenge for premium brands that reduce the amount of packaging, may infer that the product isn't as premium as before. Last but not least, recycling and recycled content, 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll get on to the questions. So Mondiv, this is very familiar to everyone that follows our webinars and are members of the Innovation Zone. So this is essentially a detergent pack from Mondi with a 50% recycled plastic content. It's marketed as Reloop Pillar Bag and it's designed for moisture-sensitive detergent applications where barrier protection against water and humidity is required. Very familiar, lots of examples like this going on in the market. Smurfit Westrock, and they've developed a insulated seafood packaging that replaces EPS for cold chain transport applications. The inner boxes are combined with T-piece liners and strategically positioned gel packs to create a thermally insulated environment that maintains the low temperatures required for live seafood. The design allows for integration of insulation within a fiber-based structure, removing the need for foam inserts while supporting recyclability through standard municipal waste systems. Another pallet example, this is from Tosca and Cabka, companies manufacturing something from entirely recycled plastic. The pallet is engineered for compatibility with automated handling systems commonly used across the European supply chains. And the last innovation before we get on to the Q&A is from our patent zone. This is PackHub packaging. And they've created a container that combines a cardboard outer layer with a plastic inner layer aimed at holding portioned food whilst making it easier to separate materials after use for recycling. So recycling and recycled content driven hugely by regulation and legislation. Lots of monomaterial packs to improve sorting, detectable pigments, washable labels. We probably track of the 30 plus innovations a week on Innovation Zone, half will be recycled content initiatives. Okay, so let's get to some questions. I'm going to stop sharing, and if my guests could share their cameras. Thank you. We've got 11 questions. So I will fire away. We've got about 5 minutes. So I think the thing to say is that any questions we don't get answered, I'll liaise with you two and we'll get those questions to the delegates early next week, if that's okay. So the first question is, does Ahlstrom still use low amounts of PFAS chemicals in the paw print grade to provide proper grease resistance for your pet food bags?
I can take this one, Paul. So as like I comment during the presentation, really we are in our production sites, and we have 4 production sites mainly that produce paw print grades, 2 in Europe, 2 in US. So for food applications and pet food mainly, because it's the more demanding one when it comes to grease resistance. So we are totally free in a sense. We do not have PFAS included in our papers.
Perfect. Okay. Question, how does the barrier on the paper solution survive folding, packaging forming, and kibble scratching during supply chain and use? That's quite a very specific question.
This one is quite interesting, I have to say, but it's not easy. It's complex because we are talking about a multitude of structures. But if I can simplify, for sure there are some characteristics that are mandatory correlated to the grease resistance, as I commented. So it's not only about barrier, because barrier in a sense can be breaked, but if you can keep a very strong bond internally inside in the core of the paper by having edge wicking properties, good properties, you might not create these aspects of staining in the structure, even if you have some folding or breaks of the structure by some puncture or scratching of the kibbles in the materials. But it's difficult to say because from time to time also you can even work in the shapes of the kibbles that you have. You do not need to have some sharp aspects that can create this type of scratchings during the product. But just to say that, yes, it's barrier, but mainly edge wicking properties that can avoid any staining in the structure after packaging might be a bit damaged.
Perfect. Okay, we've got a question about the 8% OPP content. How does that impact recyclability?
Well, I can quickly take that. The 8% OPP content is not impacting recyclability. We know that there are multiple solutions that has multiple material in it that gets recycled in the paper stream. So plastic separates in the recycling process, and the 8% still allows to be above 90% paper content. So no particular impact.
Above 90%, of course. Yeah. Okay. Are you exploring options to anticipate EPR costs and improve total cost of ownership in the longer term, so beyond the recent sort of PPWR requirements?
I can take this as absolutely, yes. So we are equipped to support the value chain with EPR assessments and helping to understand what is the best possible configuration to minimize EPR fees impact and, generally speaking, total cost of ownership. So really, the goal is exactly that. So not focusing on material cost, but really looking at total cost of ownership and having a comprehensive view of all the cost components. So the answer is absolutely yes. That's our goal.
Okay, good answer. Someone's asked about, actually, can they get their hands on finished products currently in the market? Are you able to direct anyone to some pet care products that are using this material, this solution? Or is that to come?
I would say so. But then maybe we can after this webinar.
Okay. Not public consumption.
And product.
Okay. Well, we will find a way of answering that in the outputs.
Thank you.
Okay. One last question, because we're right up to the hour, and I know people have probably got meetings in 2 minutes. How does the paper substrate perform on the filling equipment compared to traditional plastic substrate? You can answer that in 1 minute.
Yes, I believe that I can take that. As I was commenting, there is a very historical market that use paper bags, and for sure in this specific case, it was more change of types of papers that we were providing. So in that case, it's a bit simpler, no doubt. When it comes to plastic films, and I believe that's not only for papers, but also for monomaterial plastic films, there are obviously some adjustments that need to be done in the filling lines because you are changing the overall structure. So you need to consider also the situation. That's why we did also make this invitation to the audience to contact us, because any case it's different. It's difficult to have a prepare right formula, but really we have some past experience that eventually we can use to support in this type of transitions that our customers and brands are willing to do and to perform.
Excellent. And I've just put up your email addresses for people to take a note of now, and we will, as part of the outputs, include all the questions that haven't been answered, a link to the video that will be available, which is a bank holiday Monday in the UK, so and in other places, so we'll get that out on Tuesday. Thank you very much, Raphael and Ricardo, for an excellent presentation and an excellent Q&A session. Thank you everyone for attending this session. We'll be back next month with our next webinar, and thank you for your time, and we appreciate spending an hour out of your busy days is really appreciated. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.